Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unlocking You 2.0. My name is Balwinder Marwaha, your transformational leadership coach. Alongside with me is Spencer Bonin, certified emotion code and body code practitioner. Today, we're talking about 50 days later. You might be thinking, well, 50 days later, what do you mean by that? Well, in 50 days from now, it's going to be 2021 and 2020 will be behind us. Now, you might be jumping with joy hearing that, oh, really? Only 50 days? Yes. But at the same time, you might be thinking, oh my God, 50 days? That means like there's, in the US, there's Thanksgiving, there's Christmas coming up, the holidays. There's a lot to do in 50 days. But what we want to talk about today is what we can do with you in 50 days. And so to start off with, Spencer, I'd like to talk about the subconscious side of, when I say 50 days, what kind of bells and alarms might go off in your mind?
Absolutely. And that's a very, very good question, a very good point, because I mean, if anyone out there is like me, or at least, when I come across something like this, like if someone mentions a 50-day run or a 90-day run or all this kind of stuff, there's stuff that's going on in me, like anxiousness comes up, feelings of like maybe unworthiness or worthlessness or different types of failure that I might have had throughout my life. And and even something that I released today, there's a despair anchor, a negative statement in my mind that was like, it's pointless to try. Why would you even want to do that? There's things that are involved that are preventing us from even just doing this particular, this 50-day run we've been talking about, right? So we have 50 days until the end of the month. So really, a really awesome question that we can ask our body at this point is, are there any imbalances that are preventing me or contributing to me being really anxious towards doing a 50-day run or taking massive action within the next 50 days? And even myself, just to kind of tell you one more quick vulnerable story, this morning, I was working with myself with something we have in the body code called the Abundance Breakthrough Guide. It's amazing. It's a program put through by Discover Healing, who which basically blasts away your money blocks for good. And with this, there's a statement this morning that I worked on that was, it was a negative vibration that says, I don't have abundance. And my body tested positive for that. It actually believed that statement. Super great, I know.
Wow,
But
yeah.
the thing is when doing that, I was able, through muscle testing and all this different stuff, I actually found something called a physical allergy to the idea of wealth. Guess what? Who out there might actually have something like that in their life? I know I
Yeah.
certainly did this morning, and I'm
Yeah.
not perfect, and no one else out there is. But if you find that, like, maybe when you're thinking about wealth or you're thinking about making more money or whatever, guess
Mhm.
what? Maybe your body physically breaks out in some sort of form or fashion. Maybe you have this energetic freak out like I do, or like I did. And,
Mhm.
but in the body code, we can get in there and we can find it and we can extract it. And that's the coolest part. So, and those things really kind of contribute to us those alarms and bells ringing off in our head,
Mhm.
and in our body and in our vibration, that really contribute to us not wanting to take that massive action. It's this form of self-sabotage. So that's kind of what's going on in the background. What's going on consciously, Bally?
Absolutely. So consciously, Spencer, and thank you for that because, not only did you share your own story, but
Yeah.
so many people can resonate with that where, they hear this and they're like, oh my God, no, no, I can't do that. That's too much work. Or, no, no, me, never. That's not something I could do. The reality is that we make it harder on ourselves than it has to be. We all think, and we tend to think that success is this big, giant leap where we go from, Earth to the moon, and we do it all in one step.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work that way. And you don't have to make yourself feel that. Look, success and growth and development is doing small things very, very consistently. And this means that you're doing these things every day. And I'm going to touch on something in a minute here, but don't make yourself feel that, look, I've got to achieve something huge. I've got to do something massive, because even people that are doing amazing things, and you want to talk about, let's talk about something real. Right now, they're developing a vaccine for COVID-19. Okay. Do you think that success to them is All right, great, we developed a vaccine. No, success to them is, what's the first step? What do we need to do? What's the second step? Okay, by the time they get to like the 100th step, or maybe the 1,000th step, is when the actual trial begins. And they're
Mm.
trying, but along that way, there's been a bunch of successes. Now, I'm not going to get too much into vaccines because I won't go there for other reasons, but I just wanted to give you an example that you can relate to.
Yeah.
They didn't just, go from, hey, we got to develop something, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's developed, and that's success. Successes are celebrated along the way for each accomplishment they have. So don't make it hard on yourself, and don't think that you have to do this giant leap overnight, because that's not how it works. So, Spencer, with that, what else is there subconsciously that prevents us from taking these baby steps?
Absolutely. Well, there's lots of things that definitely come to mind. But even some of the things like a no will to put in work come into mind, or
Mm,
statements like "I'm not important," where it's like you really just feel like you're not important enough to even take
yeah.
those leaps of faith. You're not important enough, or you just don't want to put in the work. Or like I was saying before, what's the point? Why would I even bother doing that?
Mhm.
These little statements that are very, very insidious in our mind that are kind of just circling around where our mind is just seeking to fulfill that as truth, right? It's like, and it's messed up because your
Mm,
subconscious mind is like, oh, we're going to self-sabotage over here. Yes, we did it. We
yeah.
sabotaged ourselves, and it's like having a little celebratory party of its own, but which is just silly and ridiculous. But there might be even something as simple, or as simple as like, well, simple as like, a trapped emotion that's inherited from, like, let's say 5 or 6 generations or
Mhm.
even beyond, of like failure or worthlessness, where you feel like you just don't have the worth to be able to even be able to do that and make that kind of contribution to society, or make that much of an impact even in your own life and your family's
Mhm.
life. So there's lots of stuff like that that can really, really hinder us and help us cause us to self-sabotage ourselves and our family too. Because when we think about it, when we start working on ourselves, what's really cool about this inherited emotion that I'm talking about is that when that gets released from me, it creates that ripple effect by it actually releasing from every other person that has ever had that emotion. So let's say I had this emotion of failure, and let's say I have a kid. I might have passed that on to my kid. Cool. It gets released from them. But on top of that, if let's say I got this from my dad, and then he got this from his dad, and then he got this from his mom, and it goes back a couple of generations, every single person in that chain, and all the little spidery ways it goes otherwise, if they had kids and so on and so forth, that one energy that you're releasing from you impacts potentially hundreds of people depending on how far that thing goes back. So by you working on yourself, you're actually impacting your family,
Yeah.
and in many ways that you might even not think possible. So with that, that's the other stuff that's kind of really going on in the background,
Mhm.
which, is just incredibly staggering to think about in itself. So
Powerful.
other than that, is there anything else consciously, Bally, that you'd like to cover?
Look, I just want to say one thing, and for anyone that's watching right now, here's my question to you. Is 1% a lot? And Spencer, if I ask you the question, is 1% a lot?
Not really. No,
Not really, right?
no.
So here's what my challenge to you is, and maybe Spencer and I are in this together. So there's 50 days left this year. If you make yourself better by 1% every day, just 1%, it's not a lot, something small. 1% every day, you take that small step outside of your comfort zone every day, just a small step. Well, let me tell you, 50 days later, you'll have made yourself 50% better, or you'll be 50 steps outside of that box that you were in. And
Yeah.
if you want to realize how much 50 steps truly is go and take 50 actual steps from wherever you're standing when this video ends. And you'll realize how many steps 50 is and how far away that is from where you are currently.
Yeah.
All by just doing one thing every day, improving yourself by 1% every day. So let's make a commitment. Let's challenge ourselves over the next 50 days. What's one thing that I'm going to commit myself to? And maybe you're going to do it with your health, and you want to do something when it comes to your health. Well, to make your health 1% better every day does not take a lot of effort. But you add up 1% over 50 days, you've made your health 50% better. Maybe you want to do it when it comes to relationships. Maybe you want to do it when it comes to your finances or your career. Whatever it may be, let's do this 1% every day, and let's see where we get to in 50 days from now. Now, if I give you this challenge and it makes you cringe, or you're like, oh, I don't even know what to do, I don't even know where to start, well, then reach out to myself or reach out to Spencer, because we will set you up. There's no cost to reach out to us. The first conversation we have, we will work with you to make sure that we set you up for success.
Yeah.
And then later on, if you find, hey, what we did helped, we're going to figure out a way to change your life forever. Okay, just by doing this small little thing. So that's my challenge to you. With that said, listen, if you really liked what we did and what we talked about today, check out our website at www.leadyouриdeallife.com. There you'll find a couple of short videos, which really talks about how we bring the conscious and the subconscious together, and how we beat the battle within yourself, how we get you to win the battle of your own mind. And then tonight, and I'm super excited about this because you may have heard last week, we launched some crazy new offers, and we've made it very, very affordable for anyone and everyone to work with. So there's a webinar tonight happening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. You definitely want to register ahead of time, otherwise you won't be able to get on the webinar. Go to visit 2020recoverymanual.com, www.2020recoverymanual.com. Register for that webinar tonight. Now, let's say for some reason you can't make it tonight. That's okay. Go and register. And if you don't watch it, you'll get an invite to watch the replay. And that way you can still catch it and see, because we're going to talk about 3 of the biggest things in your life and how you can change them and really make a difference going forward. So with that said, thank you very, very much, everybody. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And if you need help with your 50 days that are left this year, connect with us. Take care, everyone.
See you guys.